Hi, everyone. This is Natasha from Dressing Room 8, and I'm really excited to be interviewing Adrienne Garland. And she is going to lead us into a conversation about who she is, how she got started with what she does, and why she's such an inspiration to us all. So, Adrienne, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Natasha. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So tell us, how did She Leads Media became such a wonderful event that all women and entrepreneurs must attend?
Yes, they must. So She Leads Media really came from a personal need, like so many of businesses for women that I speak to, where they come from. I had been in the corporate world my entire career. I had started out in finance and then switched to marketing and sort of, started climbing that corporate ladder, and I had some really great opportunities. And I worked with some amazing companies like Cablevision and PricewaterhouseCoopers and PR Newswire over the years. And I got to a certain point in my career. My family was somewhat young, and I just looked around at some of the people that were in leadership, and I didn't see myself as one of those people. I didn't see myself giving up my family for my career. And I knew that because of that, I probably wouldn't go, much beyond where I was at that time in the corporate world. So what I decided to do was to start my own consulting business. I thought that it would give me more flexibility, and I thought that I could, do as well, if not better, than my corporate roles, because I had always done very well. But as you know, entrepreneurship is not the same as having a corporate career, and
Hmm.
it has not been an easy road. Um, but in so many ways, having She Leads as my entrepreneurial venture has been rewarding, and things that have nothing to do with money.
Hmm.
Um, it's I, I started She Leads because I wanted to learn how to start a business, grow a business, scale a business, fund a business, everything that you need to do as an entrepreneur. And I also didn't want to just get that, have that information for myself. I wanted to share that information with other women. All of my friends and I talk about how, men seem to have access to networks and tools and resources and capital. And, I wanted to be able to be the one that could provide that for women.
Wonderful. Okay. So now, when tell us a little bit about the conference. Like, what should women be expecting since it's going to be taking place in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's taking place on October 27th
Hmm.
in New York City, which is exciting.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I've tried to do with the conference is to make it very practical and actionable. So I don't know if you've been to, many conferences,
Hmm.
but you might have had the experience that you leave, you might be, psyched up and feeling really empowered, and then you kind of take a look around and you're like, okay, that was great, but what do I do? What is my next step? Like, how does this affect my life, and how can this help me?
Hmm.
So what I am very focused on with She Leads is making sure that every speaker and every networking opportunity provides something that an attendee can walk away with.
Hmm.
So that, they can walk away with an action item that is very practical. I also make sure that the speakers that I put on stage are people who the audience can relate to. And by that, I mean, not everybody has the opportunity to attend an Ivy League school and then get funding, because of that, and because of the network that they have. it's amazing. And, if I went to an Ivy League school, I would do everything in my power to leverage all of those relationships. But I put women on stage that have had challenges, just like a normal person would have a challenge, but that they overcame it and they got the information and education they needed in order to launch and grow, whether that is starting a business or whether that is ascending in their corporate career, and that they have become an expert in a certain area. So what women can take away from She Leads is practical, actionable advice that they can put into practice the next day.
Wonderful. Great. And as an entrepreneur, what has been the biggest lesson that you've learned so far?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm learning the biggest lessons every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship is ever changing. It really is. Every single day you have to make different decisions and you have to figure out where to put your time and energy. Entrepreneurship is definitely not for the faint of heart. I think one of the biggest lessons is that you really need to focus on the revenue stream and make sure that you're making money. Because if you're not making money, you can't hire people, you can't, you can't market as effectively, you can't do the things that you need to do in order to get yourself and your business out there.
Great advice. Absolutely. It's like if you're not making money, what are you doing, right?
Right. It's so true. I mean, I've heard, is this a business or is it a hobby? And I feel like that really cuts to it. It's like, if you're not making money, then this is a hobby.
Absolutely. That makes sense. Now, you mentioned the value of going to conferences. Do you feel like the typical entrepreneur is going to enough conferences? And if not, like, why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I feel like there, entrepreneur, the typical entrepreneur, that even is loaded, right? Like, what is a typical entrepreneur? Women entrepreneurs, do I think that they're going to enough conferences? Like, my gut says no. I think that what women tend to gravitate toward, or at least what I see, is they gravitate toward these really big events, and I've gone to them myself. Like Women in the World, or the Pennsylvania Women's Conference, and you see people like Michelle Obama speaking, and these celebrities, Jessica Alba and Reese Witherspoon, and that's all so great. It really is, but I don't know Jessica Alba, and I'm not going to be able to talk to her. And she has a lot of things that are stacked in her favor that I'm sure that a lot of women that are in the audience don't have. And so while it's, inspiring, it is not practical. I don't know how much you can really take away from that. And I don't think that women are going to conferences that can really help them to launch, grow, scale their businesses.
That makes sense. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Like, there's an allure to like go and see these really powerful or really successful women, but at the end of the day, it needs to be more about just inspiration, but like practically, what are you going to do with that inspiration to motivate you and inspire you to have a more prosperous and a more abundant life? Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you started, what were some of the resources that you used to kind of get your business, the consulting business, starting before you even started doing the conferences? And then also, what did your support system look like? Because I think that that's really something that's important for business owners and people who want to get into business should be thinking about.
Yeah, that's really such a great question, because I do think that as you're starting a business, or even if you've started it, you really have to look at your network. And I think that if women, when they're starting out, if they can really think about the power of their network and making sure that they're building it from the very beginning, when they want to do something, it's really the network that helps. So every consulting assignment that I've had has been through a network, a relationship that I had built and established a long time ago. And, it's also having like putting aside fear that asking for help and guidance from your network is something that is shameful. So I think if you can put a positive spin on it, like, oh, hey, I'm starting a consulting assignment, or I'm sorry, I'd like some consulting assignments. I'm starting a consulting business. Do you know of anybody that might need my particular set of services? And I think that one of the things and one of the lessons that I learned is that you really need to have a very clear set of services that you provide. I've struggled with this. I have done many different things across marketing, operations, finance, organizational things, on and on. And I find it very difficult to hone in on, what are my services and what make my services unique. And that's something that I think is a really great lesson too, is, make sure that you understand the value of what you're offering and why it's unique and why it fits with the business that you're, seeking to get. I think networking, talking to people that you trust, I think that's the most important thing that you can do when you start a business. And that's the greatest resource that you can have. I mean, I think it's wonderful if you're, let's say you have a job and you can put some money aside so that when you launch your business that you don't have to be generating revenue right away. I don't think that a lot of people have that ability to do that and to think ahead. If you can, that would be great. It's always wonderful to have money in order to pay for the things that you need. But I think also sometimes when you don't necessarily have access to funds, that you can be a little bit more creative and that you might be a little bit more hungry, and you can go after things that are maybe a little bit scary.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Are you familiar with Damon John's book, The Power of Broke?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And how he says, kind of like when you're on the bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. And
Oh, yeah.
so there are different entrepreneurs, right? Yeah, there are entrepreneurs who have trust funds, right? So they have a resource and a reserve where, they're doing this not because they need to, but because they want to, which is a different entrepreneur from someone who is homeless and literally is trying to get their life together, or someone who's a mom who's maybe looking for a site, right? There's all these different types of narratives within this entrepreneurial journey. So you just gotta, I agree, you gotta know who you are and what do you want out of this and how are you gonna get there, and strategy and planning is key. But I love that you said you have to define what are you selling, because right, like how can someone buy or support what you're doing if they don't even really understand what you're doing? And I think all of us are constantly like redefining, so who are you and what do you do, right? Like those questions are like super loaded. I feel like for entrepreneurs, like, whoa, okay, let's
I can do it all.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I find, even for myself, as I'm going through on a daily basis, a lot's going on, right? And it's super easy to get overwhelmed. So how do you stay calm and deal with like your daily grind and your daily hustle?
Oh my gosh. Again, like such a loaded question, but there are definitely days that I do not stay calm.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was even sort of, thinking about this before, and almost talking to myself about this. Like, there's so many things that happen on this entrepreneurial journey that are great, and then there's so many things that are awful. And I try to look back and learn the lessons from both of those things. But I also, was telling myself before, in the past, those circumstances, that environment, and even who I was different than where I am standing right here, right now, today.
Mm-hmm.
So taking the lessons, yes, is important, but also understanding the environment that you're operating in right here and now and being present and mindful of that is one of the best things that we can do, because you don't want to be carrying around all that, luggage of things that might have been negative that you're trying to, make right today. It's time to let those things go and keep experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if and I don't do this well, so I'm not preaching, but
Yeah.
if I can kind of operate from today where I am and move forward, that does provide my mind with a sense of calm, because I'm not so worried about all of this stuff that I did where I messed up in the past. That is the stuff that gives me personally anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Right. It's all about mindfulness and presence, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
sounds like, I know it's such a buzzword and everything, but there's validity to it for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
No, absolutely. I think that some of the benefits of similar to you, like coming from a corporate background or a more formalized background, and then changing gears, a big thing that corporations are constantly doing is taking the time to assess, right? How did we do this week, this day, this month? And I think that entrepreneurs absolutely need to be more mindful of like, what is going on, how do we proceed, why are we doing what we're doing, is it time to stop doing something and change directions, right? Like I think that
Yeah.
that's key, absolutely. When it comes to like refocusing, what are some tips and advice that you have?
I think that your advice that you just gave right here is amazing, because I think if we're looking at, like, how did we do today? How do we do this week? How do we do this
Mm-hmm.
month? How did we do this quarter? If we're constantly taking a look at that, I think it gives us the picture of reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as entrepreneurs, that our gift is also our barrier. We are filled with ideas. We want to do this, we want to do that. We got to grind. We got to keep going. We got to do this, we got to do that. And we're like on this hamster wheel of doing, doing, doing.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't take the time to say, okay, let me take a step back and reflect. Did this work? Did
Mm-hmm.
this not work? Could this have worked? Will this work in a different scenario?
Mm.
And that is a great piece of advice that you just gave, reflecting on those things so that you can stay focused and so that you can think about your business as a business. This
Mm-hmm.
is why we started a business. It wasn't to make us feel good. It was to generate revenue and accomplish a mission that we
Mm-hmm.
feel very passionately about. But passion has got to be tempered with practical business wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, are there things that you wish you knew before you started your business?
Yeah, and I had a lot of business experience. I have my MBA. I
Mm-hmm.
understand how big business works. I wish that I had known what how to start a business that could be generating revenue from the get-go. So
Mm.
what I did is I I went out and I looked for work and I traded my time for money in consulting. And I thought, well, that's okay because I can charge a premium because I have all of this experience. But it didn't necessarily pan out like that. So I wasn't making the type of money from a consulting perspective that I thought I was going to. And then the conference is, conferences, the conference business, it's a good business if done well and if done correctly and if expenses are managed and, tickets are priced right and all of that kind of stuff. And the conference, because it only happens once a year, it's make or break. And I wish that I had thought about the consulting and the conference as a cohesive business instead of the way that I thought about it, like the consulting is one thing and then the conference is another. I think if I had thought about those two things as one cohesive business, that I would have seen other opportunities to maybe create some products or services that could have generated revenue for the business on a more steady stream.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it sounds like as you're talking, you're now figuring out what the next steps are, right?
Yes, I
Awesome.
am.
Awesome. Okay. And that leads me to my next question of, so, for all the entrepreneurs listening and those who even want to get into it, what are some just like key practical steps that one should take to grow their business? Or if, they're thinking about starting, what should they be thinking about so that they're not just getting into the business, but what their future business will be as well?
Yeah. I do think that having an idea of how your business is going to generate revenue is something that you need to think about. Like, that is the most important thing to think about. Yes, it's important to have a mission, to have a vision, and to know who you're going to serve. But I think that one of the things that women tend to do, and this is a generalization I know, is that they don't focus necessarily on the revenue. They focus on, this is the business, this is what I'm going to make, this is what I'm going to sell, this is who I'm going to serve, and all of those things are critical. They're, that's your business, but you need to know how the money is going to come in, what your business model is, and how that business model can scale from day one. And if you don't know how to do that, or if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you need to go find somebody who does, so that they can mentor you and guide you. And I think that is just another super important point, is that I know as an entrepreneur, you think that you can do it alone, but I think it's important to get people on your side from the beginning that have this revenue-focused business point of view, so that you can be successful and that you're not struggling, because women have such amazing ideas. They create beautiful products and wonderful things. And I've seen it way too many times that they end up having to close their business or get another job that distracts them from what they're doing because they haven't thought about the revenue.
Awesome. I think that's amazing. Yeah, like, how are we making money? How are we making money without doing anything? When we are doing something, is it really worth our while? And then, am I surrounded by people who are all on board for making money? Because absolutely, as a consultant as well, you want to work with people who really understand your business and understand how to make you more successful. And that might not be super easy all the time to find, but you always have to be on the hunt for it. That makes total sense. So now, I'm super excited to attend She Leads on, say again, when's the date?
On October 27th.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to be there.
Yes, yay. Yes, absolutely. So again, so how do people sign up? What do they do? Tell us it all.
Okay, great. So the easiest thing that people can do is they can go visit my website, which is sheleadsmedia.com. And there is a button on the site that floats with you that says register now. And that will take you to our Eventbrite page where you can purchase tickets.
Mm-hmm.
The tickets are for the conference, which is all day from 8:30 to 7. People will be fed. There will be networking. There's incredible speakers. There is the Pitch the Media panel
Mm.
where you have the opportunity to talk to the woman that is on CNBC's Power Pitch, which is awesome.
Mm.
And then the managing editor of Entrepreneur. So some real powerhouses on that Pitch the Media panel. And if anybody is listening and they're thinking, oh, maybe the ticket price might be a little bit out of their range, first value yourself enough to, reach in and buy yourself that ticket. But if you are looking for a little bit of a discount, if you send me an email and tell me why you'd like a discount, I could probably give you one. So you can send an email to Adrienne, which is spelled ADRIENNE at sheleadsmedia.com.
Perfect. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So thank you so much. I can't wait to see you later in October on, say it again.
Yay. Thank you so much, Natasha. I really
Yes.
appreciate this.
Yes,
And it's on
absolutely.
October 27th, which is a
Yes.
Friday.
Woohoo, guys, it's going to be a party of success, abundance, networking. You heard she mentioned some very powerful people that if you're an entrepreneur, you want to speak with these panels. And how many panels are taking place that day?
Oh my goodness. I probably have about 5 panels. We have a keynote
Mm,
from Gloria Felt from a company called Take the Lead.
cool.
And it's for about another 50 people that sign up. I'm actually giving away her book.
Wow.
So that's another cool incentive to sign up now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's keynotes, there's interactive panels, there's networking, there's fireside chats. There's Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program will be there. And they're going to talk a little bit about what they can do to help women entrepreneurs to scale. So there's tons of great resources, and it's so worth it.
Amazing. No one who says, "Oh my god, I don't know what to do. I want to start a business." This is the event to come to. There's no excuses. Like you said, dig in, invest in yourself, invest in your future, and make your dreams come true with She Leads Conference 2017. It's going to be amazing.
Thanks so much, Natasha. I really, really
Absolutely.
appreciate this.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you for the wonderful interview. You have a wonderful day, okay?
You too.
Thanks. Bye.